Hey, my name's Jeff Futers, and I've been a pastor for 30 some years now. And it wasn't until I was about 41 years old that I finally came to Israel. Kind of got talked into it, really. It was not something that I was necessarily looking to do. I'm a little bit ashamed to say that now. But I came on a tour. I was helping my dad to lead a tour here in 2006. And when I came, something happened, something changed about my interest in Israel, but my approach to Israel, and also my feeling about this place. It really felt like home. And from that moment, I decided that I was going to try and bring as many of our congregants here as possible. In 2008, we brought back another tour, and on that tour, I decided one evening, Wayne and Ann Hilsden had come to the hotel to meet with us for coffee. We had known them for a number of years, part of the same fellowship back home in Canada. And they had just finished preparing the prayer tower at the time here in the Kalal building above the pavilion in Jerusalem. And they wanted to show us the newly renovated facility. And so a bunch of us hopped in a cab, we came up here, and we were really amazed at what they had done here, what they had prepared, a place for the nations to come and pray 24/7, looking out over the city of Jerusalem. And I came with my camera and really was acting a fair bit unspiritual. I was like leaning out the windows and taking pictures of the Temple Mount and trying to get shots of the lights of the city, really not paying attention to much that was going on. And I remember I was doing my thing out one of the windows here to my right, and Anne began to play the keyboard and lead in a worship song. I don't even remember what it was. And some of our group had gathered around here. There were only 5 or 6 of them at the time, and I was not paying any attention whatsoever. But I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but sometimes God sneaks up on us when we least expect it. And while I was doing my thing, taking my photos and not paying attention to what was happening, all of a sudden I became just incredibly overwhelmed by the presence of God in this place. And I just remember not being able to stop it. I just began to weep uncontrollably, and I really didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what it was about at that moment. I just felt the presence of God in such a real and such a tangible way that I couldn't pull myself together. And finally, so that others wouldn't seem like I was having some sort of breakdown, I sidled over to the rest of the group and sort of pretended that I was worshiping along with them so that they would think I was just getting really blessed. And the moment sort of came and the moment went. But I identified it that night as something very special that was just for me. And I remember going back to the hotel room. My wife, Sharon, hadn't come with us to the prayer tower that night. And when I got back, she said, how was it? How'd it go? And I said to her, I'm not sure I'm ready to talk about it yet, but something happened to me tonight. And I think it has something to do with us and our ministry and Israel. That's all I really know at this moment. And we would talk about it from time to time as the years went by. This happened in 2008. And it wasn't until 2016 that I got a phone call one day. Would I be interested in talking to Clyde and Marion Williamson and Joe and Karen Amaral about being the new executive director for an organization called First Century Foundations. First Century Foundations, I found out, is a ministry that does advocacy and education at home in Canada about Israel and blessing Israel and praying for Israel, but also supports about 70 different congregations and messianic and believing ministries here in the land of Israel, both Jewish and Arab Christians. And when I heard about this and when they started to talk to me about this, something kind of lit inside of me. I was hesitant because I only knew being a pastor for many, many years. But when I went home and my wife and I were talking about it, at one point she finally just said to me, she said, I don't understand what you're waiting for. This is what we've been talking about for the last 8 years, something to do with us and Israel and our ministry. And she said, the door is wide open. Well, that was all I needed, and so together we committed to coming and leading this ministry. And now, over the last 6 years, I've been coming back and forth to Israel 2-3 times a year. God has blessed our ministry, and we are excited about what is ahead. But what I really am reminded about as I stand here again today is that it all began right here at what is now called the Summit. Thanks for listening. God bless you.
Thanks for joining us. Make sure to visit our website as well as our social media pages to keep up with the latest from the Summit Jerusalem. Blessings to you.